There are 7.8 billion people in the world. 4.48 billion using social media. That's 57.4% of the world's population. 26% of the world's population are teens. That means there are about 2 billion teens in the world. 90% of which use social media. That's about 1.825 billion teens using social media. 1 out of 5 teens suffer from mental health issues. That's about 400 million teens. Is there a connection? Before I set out to answer this question, I first decided to make my own guess. And well, I came to the conclusion of yes and no. I believe that the effects of social media can vary from person to person, and it is very hard to call it good or bad. An initial search on the internet seemed to validate this opinion. There were many articles either supporting social media, going against social media, or being in the middle. Some articles talked about how the effects of social media can vary from person to person due to genetics and the argument of nature versus nurture. A very interesting idea that I might talk about in the future video. Anyway, I wasn't satisfied with my answer by just using Google. Eventually, I decided to go out and do some real-world testing and interviews in order to figure out the truth. I decided to interview my classmates from my school.
Tell us about what social media platforms do you use? Well, I use Reddit and Instagram, and does YouTube and Discord count? Yes. Okay, so I use Reddit, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. Okay. How often would you say that you use these platforms? All of them? I mean, I would say I use it quite often. I use Reddit and YouTube more often than Instagram and Discord all the time. What about just on all your devices? On all my devices? I would say I would use YouTube and Discord the most then. How happy would you say you are on your day-to-day life? I'm pretty happy. Yeah. Things are going well. Social media doesn't bother me that much. Yes. So social media doesn't bother you at all? You wouldn't say it affects your mood too much? I mean, I just look at pictures of my friends and also memes, so I don't think it would affect me too much. Okay, if you pull out your phone and go to settings, you might have known this already, but you can check to see your screen time, but not just that, but how much you use certain apps. Okay, yeah. And there would be things like entertainment, social media. Would you like a weekly average or what I have today? Weekly average if you have it. Okay, so my daily average for using my phone is 2 hours and 57 minutes. And, oh wow. So for the weekly average on YouTube is 5 hours and 33 minutes. Instagram is second at 3 hours and 22. Reddit is 2 hours and 51. Now I would say that the Instagram one is a little off, because I only recently started using Instagram more often. I would say over the course of my life, Reddit has been the most used. So yeah, those were your averages for your devices and stuff? Yeah, but I started using Instagram more often because I wanted to post pictures of marching bands and such, to just put that out there, I guess. So, are you surprised by how much you actually ended up using your devices on your day-to-day? No. I'm surprised by Instagram, though. I don't think I used it as much as I did. Would you say you got sucked into it? Perhaps. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely got sucked into it. Yeah.
Let's start off. What social media platforms do you use?
I mainly use Discord and TikTok, and then most of the time I just usually watch videos on YouTube or Netflix.
Would you say that these social media sites affect you in your day-to-day life?
I mean, that hasn't affected me negatively yet, I guess. But, you know, Netflix comes in handy for entertainment, same as TikTok. But, yeah, most of the time it makes me laugh or it's just entertaining to watch or scroll through.
How often do you think that you use each of these platforms daily?
Probably YouTube the most, and Discord. Those two are probably, like, clashing together for the most time, because I have both actively open all day on my computer, and it's probably there for hours, so.
Yeah. If you pull out your phone, do you think you could tell us how often you use your phone every day?
Yeah, here, let me look at my screen time.
Yeah.
Okay, so it says my daily average is 3 hours and 4 minutes. And social media is around the 3 hours that it was. So, yeah, most of my phone's social media.
It's what you use most of the time?
Yeah.
Do you know what your most commonly used app is?
TikTok.
100%?
Yes.
Yeah. Alright. I think that's all I really need. I don't know what you might have heard me tell this to Joe, but I don't know what I'm doing. I make this stuff as I go along. So, any suggestions for what I should ask people?
You can ask them if you think they're addicted or not.
That's a good question.
And ask them if they have any self-control over their social media or like entertainment. And yeah, that's kind of my suggestions for questions.
I forgot to ask, how do you feel like day to day?
Pretty good. Usually, I mean, I've never had it affect me negatively. Like I said, it's just there for entertainment, and I have it. But it's really handy to like talk to friends, you know, have a good laugh.
Do you think you are addicted to social media?
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to admit it, I'm on there for hours constantly, but I wouldn't say I'm like addicted to the point where, you know, I can't, you know, go through one class without picking up my phone or something like that, where some people have it like that, which is kind of tough.
Do you think most people are addicted to social media but just don't realize it?
I'd say yeah, knowing that around our age, a lot of people have phones and social media, they want to text their friends, they want to post about events they've gone to. You see it on Snapchat and, you know, all TikTok all the time. You know, TikTok's one of the most downloaded apps currently, one of the most popular apps, you know, millions of downloads, you know, like so many people on there.
Do you think social media is good for people or bad for people?
If I could, I would say like both, but I would have to go with good because it can bring some positivity. Like Google is one of the biggest, you know, pieces of the internet because you can type a word in and you can find everything about it, and I feel like that's one of the most handy things ever. And I would say that's pretty good, useful. And then, you know, you have endless entertainment, games, videos, movies, and, you know, all that. And you can even text your friends long distance.
Let's start off. How happy do you think you are on your day-to-day life?
Out of what?
Just in general.
An okay out of 10. Like, okay.
That doesn't sound very good.
Well, it's okay.
Okay, well, what social media platforms do you use?
YouTube, and I guess if you count, like, Discord, then Discord, but that's just like a messaging app.
Snapchat, Netflix.
Oh, yeah, I guess Snapchat every once in a while. Netflix, not on my phone, on my computer.
Okay. Do you think that these apps affect you, like, dramatically in your day-to-day life?
Maybe YouTube. It probably takes me longer than it should to like get out of bed and you know, just do stuff in the morning because I'm just on my phone watching YouTube while doing stuff, so that probably slows me down, but nothing like severe, I wouldn't say.
I just asked you if it affects you in your life, right? Like just now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You mind telling us how often you use your phone every day? Like your daily?
I use it for 1 hour and 50 minutes.
And I forget, is there like a social media or tab? Like,
There is like
social.
social.
How much would you say is your social? Like, what percent? If you had to just guess.
30%. Yeah.
And. Hi.
Okay.
And, okay. What else was I? Do you think social media is a positive influence for people or negative?
It really depends. It really depends on what environment you get into and like who you meet, because at a certain point, like, social media is great. You meet great people and everything, but you can also meet horrible people. Like it's like just a coin. You just flip it.
Last question: are you addicted to social media?
I wouldn't say so, but an addict probably wouldn't say that they're an addict. So I don't think so.
Let's start by saying, what social media platforms do you use?
You count Discord as a social media platform?
Yes.
Then I have Discord. I have Facebook as well, though I've used it twice 2 years ago, and I had to download it for the school project, and that's the only time I've used it. So,
What about like Netflix and YouTube and stuff?
it's media or social media?
I'd count that as social media.
Then yeah, I have Netflix, I have YouTube. I don't count those, but I use those. I most definitely use them. I think they're great. YouTube especially, I try not to look at comments because those things are terrible, but I most definitely would think that it could be considered a social media if you use it in a bad way. Or I mean, just if you use it in a certain way, it can be considered social media. I don't think it is, but that's just my opinion.
Do these platforms affect you in your day-to-day life? Do you
Yes.
think?
I
How?
spend time watching them.
Oh.
So yeah, most definitely they affect me in my day-to-day life. I've spent hours watching them. I mean, usually it's not anything bad. It's also really nice when like you're done with a long day of like workout and then you get to your home and it's just really nice to crash on the couch watching Netflix. That's really great. But I definitely think they've affected my life. Yes.
Would you say you're happy in your day-to-day life?
Yes. I have many friends, no matter how mean they are sometimes. I have many friends and I love hanging out with them. And I go home, I hang out with my family, I hang out with my dog, my cats, and it's all great.
If you were to, do you think you were able to tell us your daily screen time?
6.5 hours.
That's just off the top of your head?
That's usually what I get. Throughout the weeks it usually switches. Like if I have a week off, my screen time usually goes up by like 2 hours, like for obvious reasons. But it's also like I often will have music running on things, so I mean obviously those are always going to be high. So I've had like school weeks where I spend the entire time doing school, but I still end up with a really high screen time. That's really just because of how I use it. So no, chill, Cameron, chill. Nope, not loading. Next question.
Oh, do you think social media is a good thing or a bad thing, just in general?
Bad. General, bad. I mean, well, I guess, depends on social media. If you're considering Netflix and YouTube, I think those are generally good things. I mean, like, yes, kids should be outside a lot higher than I thought it was. Kids can totally and should be outside having fun with people 7 hours and 15 minutes.
And you average around 7 hours and 15 minutes per day?
On anything, on my entire phone.
Yes. Just
And that is mostly entertainment.
All right.
A lot of finance for some reason. I don't know why. But I would say, like, Netflix and YouTube are not the best forms of entertainment, but I think they are still good. There's many good things can come out of that, including education. And so I most definitely think that. But then social media, I feel like things like texting are just much better than that. Like, there's plenty of programs that allow you to have the same positive effect that social media platforms give you without the negative. So I feel like just switching to those instead of what we have now, which is a toxic platforms with some good in them.
Are you addicted to social media?
No.
Really?
Yes. Well, part of it, I have like no form of social media, and I just watch YouTube, and I'm not addicted to that. It's definitely like if I have nothing else to do, I'll do that or play video games, but really that.
To sum up the interviews, most people said that social media was good and that they were not addicted. Some said social media was mixed and were kind of addicted. And a few said the social media was bad and that they are addicted. Based on my experience and these interviews, I feel that if I were to ask more people I would get similar results. However, I feel that more people are addicted to social media than they think. Which isn't a bad thing. In the end, I think it's safe to say that social media isn't inherently bad, and it depends on a lot of variables for social media to affect someone. Thank you for listening and watching my video. It took a lot of effort to make. There will be more content being posted on my YouTube channel again.